I never thought the end of my marriage would start with a simple, happy smile across a busy restaurant room. My wife, Hannah, and I have been married for 11 long years. When you have been with someone for that long, you start to feel like you know everything about them. I truly believed we had built the kind of relationship that could survive anything life threw at us. We were not a perfect couple, because no one really is. We had our bad days and our tired days just like everyone else. But we always promised to be honest with each other no matter what happened. We felt that being open and sharing our feelings was the true secret to our happiness. That all changed one Friday evening, when I decided to do something nice and surprise her by stopping at a restaurant near her office. I had it all planned out in my head. I was going to take her home, and we would spend a quiet, peaceful night together after a very long and stressful week at work. I wanted us to just relax, talk about our day, and enjoy being together. Instead, when I looked through the big glass window, I saw her sitting at the bar laughing with another man. At first, I tried to stay calm and told myself it was probably just a coworker or an old friend from the past. Then I watched as he leaned closer to her, touched her hand gently, and said something that made her smile in a way I had not seen in many months. It was a bright, warm smile that reached her eyes. My chest felt very tight, and it was hard to breathe. I did not want to cause a big scene in front of everyone in the restaurant. I simply turned around and started to walk away, deciding right then that I was finished with everything. But before I could reach the door to leave, Hannah grabbed my hand and whispered, "Please do not leave until you know the whole truth." I froze when I heard those words. I expected her to have some silly excuse, but instead, she sounded completely desperate. Hannah's eyes were filled with fear, but I could not tell if she was afraid of losing me or just afraid of being caught in a lie. The man at the bar stood up and immediately stepped away, which only made the whole situation feel even more strange and uncomfortable. I pulled my hand back and quietly asked, "What truth could possibly explain what I just saw?" Hannah looked down at the floor for a moment before she finally answered me. She told me his name was Marcus, and he was not someone she had just met recently. He was actually her childhood friend, someone who had come back to town after being away for many years. That explanation should have made me feel a lot better, but it did not explain why they were being so secretive. Then Hannah reached into her purse and pulled out a very old envelope. "I never told you about him because I was so scared you would not understand," she said softly. I opened the envelope slowly, not knowing that the things inside would completely change the story I thought I knew. Inside the envelope was a collection of very old photographs and some handwritten letters. I recognized Hannah's handwriting right away, but the dates on the letters really shocked me. They were from long before we ever met, almost 15 years earlier. Marcus was not just an old friend who had suddenly appeared. He was someone who had actually saved her life during the most difficult and painful time she had ever faced. Hannah explained that when she was younger, she struggled through a serious family crisis that almost broke her, and Marcus was a single person who stayed by her side when everyone else walked away. Over the years, they had lost contact, but she never forgot the kind things he had done for her. When he returned to town, she wanted to thank him privately because he was dealing with his own very hard personal struggles. The reason she had the meeting was not because there was any romance between them. It was because she knew their history might look bad to others, and she was so afraid I would misunderstand their bond. I want to believe her with all my heart, but one big question still bothered me. If the truth was really innocent, why did she feel the need to hide it from me in the first place? Hannah took a very deep breath before answering the question I had been holding on to. She admitted that hiding Marcus from me had been a huge mistake, but not because she had special feelings for him. She was afraid because she knew how much their old friendship meant to her and worried that explaining their complicated history would create doubts in our marriage. She thought that keeping things simple and quiet would protect our life together. But instead, the secret created the exact thing she was so scared of. I looked back toward Marcus, who was standing a few feet away with a very sad and lonely expression on his face. He finally walked over and apologized for making the situation feel so uncomfortable for me. He explained that he should have told Hannah to tell me everything from the very beginning. "Your husband deserves the truth more than anyone else," he said very quietly. Those words really surprised me because I expected him to try to defend himself, not admit that he was wrong. Then Marcus handed me his phone. The message on the screen showed me something about Hannah that I never expected to find. I looked down at Marcus's phone, expecting to see something that would prove my worst fears were true. Instead, I saw a conversation between him and Hannah from earlier that afternoon. The messages were not romantic at all. They were actually about me. Marcus had been telling her to tell me the truth because he believed that keeping secrets from me was not fair. One message stopped me completely. It said that if he truly loves you, he deserves to know the whole story, not just a version that makes things easier for you to say. I read those words a few times because they came from the very person I thought was trying to destroy my marriage. The reality was totally different. Marcus was not trying to take my place. He was actually reminding my wife that being honest is what matters most. Hannah admitted she had made a very bad decision by hiding the friendship, and she said she was sorry for putting me in a position where I had to question if she was loyal. I believed her apology, but I still had one very painful question in my mind. Could trust really survive a secret that should have never been there? We left the restaurant that night without any shouting or angry words. Instead, Hannah and I walked through the quiet parking lot together, talking about everything we had been avoiding for many months. She admitted that our marriage had become a little too comfortable, and somewhere along the way, we had stopped sharing the small fears and worries that used to bring us closer together. I admitted that I had been so busy with work and my daily chores that I sometimes forgot to ask what was happening deep inside her heart. That did not make it okay to hide Marcus from me, but it did help me understand why she was so afraid of talking to me. The next morning, Hannah invited Marcus to come over to our house, so everything could finally be discussed in the open. For the first time, there were no more secrets, no more hidden talks, and no more guessing. Marcus apologized one more time and promised he would respect our marriage completely. After he left, Hannah held my hand and said quietly, "I almost lost the person I loved most because I was too afraid to trust him with the truth." Those words stayed with me. Over the next few weeks, Hannah and I worked very hard through the damage caused by that one secret. It was not easy because saying sorry did not instantly erase the doubt that had appeared in my mind that night. Every time she got a text or went somewhere I did not expect, a small part of me remembered the moment I saw her at the bar. But instead of hiding those feelings, we talked about them together. Hannah became much more open about her friends, and I became more willing to say what was bothering me before it turned into anger. Slowly, the trust we thought was broken started to come back. I realized something very important. A marriage is not only destroyed by big lies. Sometimes it is hurt by fear, by not talking enough, and by the choices people make when they're scared of being misunderstood. Hannah had made a mistake, but she also chose to fix it instead of running away from it. A year later, I looked back at that night in the restaurant and realized how close I came to walking away from something very special. If I had left without hearing her truth, I would have ended our marriage based on mistake. That does not mean what she did was right. Keeping secrets was a mistake, and building trust again took a lot of work from both of us. But I also learned that love sometimes means having the patience to find out the whole story before making a final decision. Hannah and I never forgot what happened, but we stopped letting it hurt us. Marcus eventually moved away again, and our lives went back to being normal. Looking back, I realized the biggest lesson was not about another man. It was about talking to each other. Sometimes the truth hurts when you first hear it, but the truth is also the thing that saves what you thought was already gone. It is important to remember that being honest is like a bridge. If you stop taking care of the bridge, it starts to fall apart. We had to learn how to fix our bridge one conversation at a time. It took a lot of patience and a lot of kindness toward one another. We learned that even when we are scared of what the other person might think, it is always better to speak from the heart than to keep a secret in the dark. Our marriage is stronger now, not because we never make mistakes, but because we finally learned how to face the truth together, hand in hand, without fear.